Alright, seriously, I don't know how much longer, how much longer can this go on and people still don't get it? This stuff is so rigged, it's not even funny. So, Nebraska lost yesterday. It makes them 1-2, and I've talked about all the 12s, all the significant 12s, and the 12 times 12 for the tribes of Israel, and it all ties into Moses. But they go or into the next game where I've talked about something's really significant's gonna happen this day. They go in 1-2, making them a 12. Anyway, I found the game online. I'm just gonna play a clip of the very end of regulation. Alright, so at the very end of the game, I'm sure anybody who watches this video would probably already know what's going on, but the very end of the game, Nebraska's last drive, they drive it down, and they end up scoring and then get a 2-point conversion to make the score 33-33 with exactly 33 seconds left. But look at what time their drive even started. Their drive started at 2:39, the 9:23 that we have talked about over and over and over. But anyway, I just want to play the clip here. And watch the clock. The clock should actually stop before 33 seconds. Catches it down. Why did it go down to 33? There's no way. The clock should have stopped way before that. It should have stopped at like at least 35 or 34, not 33. I also want to point out here, so number 8 catches it. Number 3 is the one who's defending him, so the 8 and the 3. And in a little bit, they actually show you a thing of Nebraska was down by 23 points, and they made up the 23 points in 8 minutes and 3 seconds. And then, so it's 8 minutes, 3 seconds, they make up that many points. And number 3 and number 8 are the ones who make it 33. Well, it's actually 31-33, but then they get this 2-point conversion that I'll just show you here. And that makes it 33, and like no time goes off the clock, so. Okay, so here's the 2-point conversion that makes it 33-33 with 33 seconds left. Just wanted to point it out here, the 33, 33, 33, just to prove it. Another quick thing here, so the game went to overtime because of that 2-point conversion. And 2-point conversion in gematria is 266, kind of like Pope Francis is the 266th Pope, and 923 is the 266th day of the year. So anyway, the game goes to overtime. Nebraska gets the ball first, so they both get a chance to score. But, yeah, whatever. If you know the rules, whatever. Nebraska gets a chance to score. On the very first play of the drive, Tommy Armstrong throws an interception. It even looks like he throws the ball from the 33-yard line. It's right in between the 33 and the 34-yard line. But it's intercepted, and then they run down, and then he runs down, and then number 71, like, late hits him out of bounds. I'll talk about why that's significant in a second. But, I've mentioned it multiple times, but I just want to play the clips here. And I guess before I even show that clip, look, the 23 unanswered points in the last 8:03. So, and then interesting, number 8 and number 3 were the players involved. With 33 seconds left, and number 3 was the one who was guarding him, or playing defense on him. So that was the first play right there. Better go back. This was the first play in the number 8 was the one who overtime. I barely got it, but with 33 seconds left, and number 3 was the one who was guarding him, or playing defense on him. All right, this is the first play of the drive in overtime. So watch where he throws it from. He throws it from literally like right up in this area. It looks like 33, 34. It's really hard to tell. Like his left foot's on the 33-yard line. His right foot's on the 34. So, interesting. I mentioned both of them numbers from the start of all this. 33 and 34 were coded in the BYU game. So, anyway, let's check it out. You wouldn't believe what that guy's name is either, the guy who intercepts it. He's out, whatever, 71, comes up, pushes him out of bounds there. So he gets a penalty. And that penalty actually causes, I didn't even record it all, but that penalty actually causes Miami to get the ball on the 12.5-yard line to start their drive in overtime. 12 and 1/2. What do you think of when you think of 12 and 1/2? 12 and 1/2, kind of like 12-12. And that's 12 times 12, 144, the tribes of Israel. And the reason that's so significant is because Omaha World Herald here on Facebook, they have this article about number 71, Alex Lewis, doubting the Husker fans, kind of like Bo Pelini did, whatever, that little scandal that went on. But it's interesting that he's number 71. So I wanted to point it out. They actually made a somewhat big of a deal out of this or whatever. But remember, the number 71, like Moses Malone's real name, adds up to 71. He just died at the age of 60. Just Moses in general is 17 and 71. The 10 Commandments is 71, and Nebraska is 71. So pretty significant. They would make number 71, make it fitting to seem like he was the reason that they lost the game or whatever. That's what he's claiming or whatever, because people on Twitter or something were giving him crap. You know what's even more messed up? I scroll up just reading some of their articles from today or whatever, and they talk about the Omaha Marathon. The winner of it, he advances to Boston. I literally went to high school with this guy. Like, that is crazy, and he's 34 years old. Now, I mean, I don't know how that happens. It's just, that's some strange stuff. That wedding I was at yesterday, it says here he hasn't ran more than 18 miles in 18 months. And yesterday I bought a case of beer for that wedding because it was like a BYOB thing. And it was a 24 pack of Tall Boys, 16-ounce cans, and it came to $18.18. I don't know, it's just strange to me. It really sticks out, but let's get back to the game here. Another interesting thing, so I talked about all these 34s dealing with Moses and Abraham Lincoln, and I said a lot of these are actually 34 because of the S exception, because instead of S being 1, S was 10, so that makes it 34. But otherwise it would be 25. Interesting that the overtime rules, they start on the 25-yard line. Also touchbacks. Touchbacks started, they used to be the 20-yard line, and now they start on the 25-yard line since 2012. And I've talked about how 2012 is literally like Abraham Lincoln's birthday, like 2-12, the 43rd day of the year. So I just found that kind of interesting. Also in this game, once again, it was all about the punting. There was like a big deal about punting. There was even one point in the game where I think they punted 5 times. It was either 4 or 5 times they had to re-punt because there was a penalty or this or that. And the word punt is 71. I think it's also 17, like just like Moses. Yes, and Moses is 17 as well as 71. So I just find that really interesting. It's something to do with the punt in every game. When there was the 12-12s and the other 2 games I've talked about, it was always dealing with a punt. Also in this game, 2 players on Miami got ejected. They actually said disqualified, but they got ejected for like targeting, where they targeted the player supposedly and got ejected. But anyway, it was number 1, Artie Burns, or no, it was actually the first one was Dion Bush. Sorry, but the reason I thought of that was because there was multiple times in the game where they like showed these 2 guys together, the Burns Bush, kind of like Moses when he spoke to God in the burning bush. I mean, that's so ridiculous, but they did this in the game. They put these guys next to each other. But anyway, this was the first guy who got ejected, Dion Bush. And look at Dion Bush in Gematria, 34. Talked about all of them before. The next guy to get ejected was Jamal Carter. I mean, you get it already? Do you get what they're doing? Dion Bush and Carter. Bush and Carter. George Bush, Jimmy Carter. Just like they did in NASCAR when the Bushes were both out and they had the Reagans that replaced both of them. And George Bush Sr. and Jimmy Carter are exactly 111 days apart, birth, whatever. So Jimmy Carter will be 91 on October 1st, and George Bush Sr. turned 91 on June 12th. So just found that pretty interesting. And the 111 all ties back into Queen Elizabeth and whatnot. And Jimmy Carter's been in the news like crazy because of his cancer and whatnot. And then he was even on the Kiss Cam at the Atlanta Braves game. I forgot to show that the other night. But George Bush Sr. was the 43rd vice president, also the 41st president. 41 is another significant number I talked a ton about in previous videos dealing with all of this Nebraska stuff. I'm not going to list it because it takes too long, but it's just insane. But he's also referred to as George H.W. Bush, Bush 41, Bush the Elder, or George Bush of World War II. Even, I guess, a 41 reference I always forget to mention is that Pearl Harbor, the bombing of Pearl Harbor or whatever, the attack, not bombing, I guess, but, well, whatever. 41. It would happen in 1941. Oh, it even says it right here, so never mind. And I have no idea if they're related, but Bush, when I've been doing all this Lincoln stuff, I just think of Abraham Lincoln's stepmom. Her name was Sarah Bush Lincoln. And it even says that she died exactly 8 years after the Civil War began. So, just pretty interesting. Even down here, the Wikipedia is messed up. And it says, Sarah Bush married Daniel Johnston on March 13th, 2016. So it makes me wonder if they're foreshadowing that because that's the day Pope Francis became the Pope. And that would be next year. So it would be his 3rd year as Pope. So who knows? I would go in and try to change it, but I've made a video on that you can't change it. For whatever the reason, people just change it right back. I don't know, someone just sitting on here studying Sarah Bush all day, but I guarantee it would happen. And I just clicked on it just to see what like the last thing was changed, and I kind of just clicked on the very top one, and it brought me up to this 1924. That's the time, I guess, in military time. 1924 though, that is when George Bush and Jimmy Carter were born. That is some crazy stuff. And then yeah, at 1924. September 12th, 2015. So it's not even from today. That was like whenever somebody changed this. Even the plus 61. I'm pretty sure Daniel Johnston even adds up to 61 in gematria. Yep, he adds up to 61. Oh, Sarah Bush adds to 26. Wow, hold on a second. I'm forgetting something. It's an H. That's why it's wrong. Sarah Bush, Pythagorean gematria is 34. Also, the other guy that got ejected, like I said, was Jamal Carter. And his name adds up to 39. And Jimmy Carter was the 39th president. So, interesting too, September 12th was when Nebraska played South Alabama last week. Even crazier, look at what they changed. Somebody went in and changed, that's what it is, the 2016, and had sexual intercourse with him on December 32nd, 9283 BC. Interesting. They have the 923 in here even. I mean, that's some crazy stuff. Anyway, I'm going to move on. I'm assuming that had to have been put in there for some reason. I guarantee there's something more to that. But I wanted to talk about the Hurricanes still. So at the very end, this was the guy who intercepted the ball and pretty much won the game or whatever. I mean, that play defining the game pretty much. Look at his name, Corn Elder. A guy named Corn is the reason, he intercepted the ball and to beat the Corn Huskers. I mean, that is a joke. Are you kidding me? People how do you not get that? A guy named Corn. Who names their kid Corn? I'm sorry, that is ridiculous. And it's also Elder is his last name. I just talked about George Bush Sr. is called Bush the Elder. I mean, it's a total reference to that. Even if you just type in gematria Bush Carter 43, the mirror of 34. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. There was some other things in here. I feel like these are some of the more significant things that more people would understand. So I just threw them in here. A lot of even the commercials, like some of the commercials they put on there they even had the Blackish commercial that I just made a video on. But yeah, who knows? Have a good one. Yeah, peace.